In July 1944, the Messerschmitt Me-163 Komet became the first operational rocket-powered aircraft, achieving a flying airspeed record of 1130 kilometers per hour. The Me-163B, an improved version of the original type, saw action against the Allies. The fuel system made use of unstable propellants as well as hazardous fuel and oxidizers. The Me-163 initially ran on a T and Z STOF fuel combination, which was eventually replaced with C STOF. Many Me-163s were wrecked as a result of fueling mishaps. Although 400 B-1 production planes were equipped with two 30mm Mk108 cannons, their fast speed and climb rate made it impossible for even skilled pilots to target American bombers. The aircraft would launch under its own power, dropping a main gear dolly or wheel assembly. The 163 then climbed rapidly to altitudes of 35,000 to 40,000 feet, or nearly 11,000 to 12,000 meters, which was very difficult on the pilots in an unpressurized cockpit breathing pure oxygen, before diving back through the enemy bomber formation, firing on each pass. After only 7 minutes of fuel, the Me-163 transformed into a remarkably maneuverable glider and floated down to its space landing using a retractable skid. The airplane was later retrieved by a special tractor. When performing powered firing passes, the Me-163 proved nearly hard to shoot down. They were little and flashed by massive B-17s, but they were far quicker than piston-engine P-51 Mustang escort fighters. The Komet series saw combat for the first time in early 1944 on an intercept mission with B-17 flying fortresses. By August, a whole wing had been sent to guard the Reich's primary synthetic fuel plants at Luna and Pullets. The Allied High Command understood the Komet's primary weakness, which prompted in an attack on the fuel facility, resulting in a fuel shortage and the grounding of several Me-163 aircraft. According to German test unit head Captain WolfgangSpeta, the only supply was what was left in storage at several airfields and depots. The Komet was flying 400 miles per hour faster than the planes it was following. The Me-163 pilots failed to shoot correctly because they were either out of range or too close. They would drop down in Allied bomber formations and coordinate hit-and-run attacks before returning to their base. The Allied fighter bombers couldn't keep up with the quick Komets, but they were able to trail Nazi planes back to their bases and intercept them on landing approaches when they were most vulnerable. The German Air Ministry attempted to address Komet's accuracy issues by testing several ways for effective shutdowns. They eventually settled on the Sonderguard 500 Jäger Faust, or Jagdfaust. This airborne anti-bomber recoilless rifle was armed with 10 single-shot 50mm short-barreled guns, 5 on each side of the wings. The weapons were engaged when a photocell on the plane's upper surface detected a change in light levels. On April 10, 1945, Lieutenant Fritz utilized the weapons system to kill a Royal Air Force Avro Lancaster aircraft. However, the weapon came too late in the combat to have any effect. In fact, as they landed back at their base during the glide stage, Me-163s were most susceptible, and some were effectively shut down by Mustangs. However, P-51s were occasionally able to duel with Me-163s that were flying at full power in the midst of the bomber streams. 400th Jagdgeschwader. On November 2, 1944, the first operational 163 Squadron, headquartered at Brandis, 16 kilometers east of Leipzig, was notified to an impending USAF bomber stream. The B-17s were supposed to target the German synthetic petrol plant at Leuna. 11 Me-163s were scrambled to meet the threat, immediately roaring up towards the bombers high overhead. As part of a big screen of P-51 Mustangs, Captain Fred W. Glover of the U.S. 4th Fighter Group noticed a contrail ascending quickly into the bomber stream. At 25,000 feet, the Me-163 drew up level with the bombers and made a small drop back towards the stream. Glover swiftly depleted his spare fuel tanks and took a convergent route towards the 163. The 163 moved ahead of him. Glover turned abruptly 90 degrees and dropped below the German plane. At 400 yards he fired, striking the cockpit and the rear wings. The plane burst apart in the belly. Glover overshot and turned to see that the cockpit was destroyed and the Me-163's tail was almost completely gone. As 163 fell earthward, Glover lifted up to search for another target. Oberfeldwebel Kunter Andreas, the pilot, managed to escape and live. As this was going on, Captain Louis H. Norling, in command of the 4th Fighter Group's 335 Fighter Squadron, sighted a 163. Dumping his auxiliary tanks at 6 o'clock, he set his new K-14 gun sight. He was able to attach himself to the Me-163's tail and pursue the target down when it was full power and barely out of reach. Norling fired a couple rounds, hoping the 163 would turn, which he did, just as the 163 was starting to back away. As things took a bad turn for the 163, its velocity dropped. Norling soon shut down. From 250 to 50 yards at 450 miles per hour, he received a couple of tail impacts. He applied more brake, but his speed was too much to maintain the turn with the Me-163. He ascended and re-entered his tail. After overshooting the German aircraft, the 163 flipped over and fell straight down from 8,000 feet, slamming into a small settlement before exploding. As he closed in on the 400 yards, he shot and recorded tail strikes. Jakob Bollenrat, its pilot, was promptly killed at the moment. To watch the complete video on the Me-163 in detail, click this link on the left. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, consider subscribing to the channel.